So I was in 2014. It's going to be a while. Not really. But I think you need to like really understand that it's been now a year. So like this, I think it's very important like that you understand that Twitter wasn't started in 2016. Okay. Trump saved Twitter and imploded everything else. So Twitter as a company was saved in terms of it artificially propped up a business model that wasn't working, and it was bad for users. And anybody who knew that these problems existed in 2014 knew that a figure like Trump would ultimately break it, okay? Would ultimately do this. None of this is fucking new, all right? And this is another reason why I support Matt Taibbi and his judgment, okay? Because he's written about this. There's all this history where you go, I know who to trust in this space. I know who's full of shit and who doesn't know what they're talking about, which is the vast majority of fucking commentators. And I know who does and who's written books, and, like Grifftopia, Hate Inc. Those books are fantastic. They really do talk about that. Obviously, he's got gaps too, where he understands things to a certain degree, but he's not technical. He's not a user experience designer. He ends and I begin, and there's expertise. But we can work together to solve the problem if like people could just calm the fuck down. But so when Elon Musk sort of offered to buy Twitter, like there's a lot of this stuff that, ended up sort of, hang on, I'm mumbling again. Let me get my head together. Let me get my dick bottle. This is what my brain does when I get distracted. Okay. Anyway, so I think the context of the acquisition is really important, which was that it solved a few key problems, that it was a public company, that it was, they were under shareholder pressure to inflate their user numbers. They needed to do that because they needed to tell all these fucking blue checks and media people and advertisers, the people that were paying the bills at Twitter, that they were going to be able to reach more people than they could. Like if you're in the ad industry, you understand that your reach and your potential reach is linked on how much you spend. I don't know if you've ever bought a Facebook ad or anything like that before, but you can toggle like your budget. So your budget, you spend more, and you find a sort of price point which is optimal. And I can do this on the tech channel as well, which is there's a price point that's optimal when you're buying like ads, which is that there's a law of diminishing returns with it, but you've got to find that sort of optimal space. Twitter needs to nudge that up so that the ad spend is higher. That's the incentive there. So you need to be able to tell them that their potential reach is X, million users or whatever, when really, in effect, it's probably more like, you're going to be getting impressions, but they're largely inauthentic impressions, especially when you factor in ad fraud and click farms and all those sorts of things, and that's a whole other thing. I'm going to have try and invite an expert on this very topic onto User Story Hour to talk about this, about click fraud. But and how widespread this stuff is, and how I think I've talked about it in previous streams anyway, but like $125 billion in ad fraud just last year alone, right? Don't quote me on the exacts of that number. I think it was 125, 124, something like that, wasn't it? But that's click fraud alone. So there's a whole perfect storm there of a business model with Twitter that isn't optimal. It was away from its value proposition. Then you've got advertisers running the show because they're the ones spending the money. You've got bots and troll farms who first of all want to inflate their numbers. So a lot of these people with 100,000 plus sort of followers, it's not organic. If you look at a lot of these accounts, a lot of them are just bots, okay, or fake followers, especially early on, and they haven't gone. Right. But, you've got that part. So you've got people then you've got the human part of this, which is that you've got somebody who doesn't understand this history, doesn't understand that the business model's broken. They're prone to narcissism because they're, in an industry that sort of, it's very focused on the self. You've got people who are emotionally immature, emotionally stunted. They build a whole identity around being online and their clout and, their content and all that sort of stuff. I did that back in the early days. Thankfully, I learned before it got, I learned the hard way. But there's a lot of people who still don't. They still see people as tools. They haven't gone through what I've gone through because I've got 10 years on them. And I see this crashing and burning. However, okay, that was a test yell for my sound. So there's that perfect storm. And then you've got obviously political interests, you've got geopolitics, you've got all of these other confounding factors. Then or compounding, sorry, not confounding, compounding, both. And you end up with this situation where the check mark becomes, and also people with a check mark who were verified like legitimately in the early days. And then you've got people who shouldn't be there. And then you've got people who should be there but aren't, but are willing to pay. And then you've got this whole mix of things. And, then you've got some bad faith narrative shill like Matt Binder sharing things like this MF pay for Twitter, ha ha. And it's like, well, you're a fucking idiot. You represent Mashable. Apparently that's a tech publication. What do you know? You don't know anything. Users do lots of different things for lots of different reasons, and people give money because they value a product. And for you to do that makes you a fucking asshole. And you show who you are with your reaction to this. And that's why I find it very interesting that, there's so much research in the psychology of this stuff. Seriously, it's really interesting. It's really a time for cyber psychologists to get in and deep dive into the reaction of if you're in the business of influence and internet studies and studying fans and parasocial relationships, and especially identity fusion and what happens when you fuse your identity with an influencer or a celebrity, and you are sort of somewhere on the celebrity worship scale higher up, and you have that taken away from you. The impacts of that are really they're playing out right now, which is really at scale and in quite high profile ways. Now, I want those people to have emotional support, because it is actually, like, as funny as it is also quite harmful. It can be quite harmful and hurtful if someone is not well and they are in a vulnerable position emotionally, and they are of the belief that, the fascists are coming and the Nazis are coming and everyone's trying to kill them. And they have just so much, they have just created this worldview that you do have the potential for a Kool-Aid Jonestown situation at any point with these micro cults, okay? That's another reason why I respect Tristan Harris, is because he's one of the few people leading in the space who's really talking about cults and micro cults, but not in a pejorative, not just calling everyone else a cult, but saying there's a lot of cults created, and this is it's getting not cool, it's really not cool. But he's one of the few that, I tend to, when people are using certain language that I have copped heat for saying, or I've, somehow been punished for saying it, and they're on a higher platform, I'm inclined to support them, because they're saying what I need to say, and I can't get out there to say it because of all of the various things of mass reporting and all those sorts of things. I'm sort of shouting into the void. The one thing you can do is fucking share my shit and tell people, even offline, go, what, please help this lady financially, because I get that people can't talk about it. I get that people can't say things. You're risk averse. You're going to get fired. You're under NDA, whatever. But you can get in contact with me and offer to help me quietly. Okay. And that's you don't want to pay for Twitter, then don't. But you could support me for talking about it. Okay. Because I am trying to deal with the substantive issues in this space, and I've been punished for it a lot. And I don't think it's really, fair that, well, life's not fair, but, I'm just saying, okay, because I believe in the product. And I know that might be naive, but I don't see anyone else. It's easy to go, oh, well, I'm out. It's easy to quit things. It's really easy to quit. It's not so easy to fucking, solve and fix in good faith and be patient. Okay. I have a love for Twitter as a product and as a vocation and all of those things, which, is wholly undeserved, I might add, from the last few years. But I'm still there for the grain of hope that exists with that product, okay, because they did something marvelous. Facebook did something marvelous. Everyone who makes anything made something marvelous. I don't understand why people just want to destroy these things. What is in you? If you're just someone who wants to is it a jealousy? Is it jealousy? What is it that makes you see something that is innovative and marvelous and amazing and clever and a fucking work of art, modern day art, engineering and all these, that it is incredible, these products. And you need to wreck it and you need to kill it. And I go, what the fuck is wrong with you? That says something about you, that you want to wreck something that someone dedicated so much time to building. They were the kids in the playground who saw a sandcastle and fucking stomped on it. They were the kids who saw you stole everyone's Lego and smashed it up. That's what these people are, okay? And once you see it that way, you can't unsee it, okay? And again, it's not every blue chip. See, there is that split between the people who were verified legitimately, like, people who were already famous, showed up on Twitter, attracted people to the platform. But that was very much a pre-2012. And that did continue through. If you were famous enough, you got verified if you're on Twitter. That happened. But with this, again, you got to separate these two layers. And the thing that people like Matt Binder in particular, who I'm going to focus on, is that he pretends that his fucking blue check is legitimate when it's not. He writes for Mashable. He's nobody. He's a failed actor who just talks shit. He wasn't famous before Twitter and the bots that prop him up. He has no more legitimacy with a verified mark. That's me, who pays for it. He's got none. I'm just a business owner. I own a media company. I pay for a blue check. So did they. Okay? He wasn't famous before Twitter. If you were famous before Twitter, then I understand that you have a beef. If you are somebody who is an artist or makes things or creates things or makes music and art, and you do the right thing and you use Twitter because you just want to reach your fans, and I think that we do need to differentiate between those two things. Okay? I think that's fair. Maybe that's part of that process from my plan in 2014 that I talked about, which would be that you can pay for it unless you are someone, because this is how I ran my business. I said, don't do work for exposure, don't do free work, don't do spec work. However, that's a rule. Pay for it or don't, but if someone calls me and they've got 1 million people and there's going to be a lot of referral business in it for me, then I might reconsider a discount, right? Or something like that. If I believe in it, then I might offer it. And that was a better way to handle this, which was, we're going to assess how famous you were. If you are dependent on Twitter for your platform and your fame, you should pay for it. If Twitter is a channel where you bring more people, right, and you bring people to the platform, then obviously there's something in that. Okay, that's what, I think that's famous in real life badge or something. Okay, but these internet fucking influencers who's only, they don't make anything, they just assemble ideas that they're basically they're just cardboard cutouts. You can replace them with anyone else who'll say the same shit, and they do. There's hundreds and thousands of them, and they'll just say the line, Bart. It's like, oh yeah, PR for the richest man in the world. Talking point. And they don't do anything creative, and all they do is wreck. And all they do is fucking pick on people like me who actually do build things, do make things, do the work, do create ideas from scratch, have ideas, present those ideas, put myself out there and get punished because those people and their fucking bot armies and troll farms can't stand the fact that I'm better than them. That does make it a level playing field, which is that it's not about the legitimacy of Stephen King or Ben Folds or Ricky Gervais or Kim Kardashian, because they bring people. You don't bring anyone. You're a mooch. And that's the thing, and that's the gap. Okay, that's where the legitimacy gap for the verification badge is. Okay, and that's the thing that we need to solve. It's the problem that needs to be solved. And this is what I would hope that maybe after this great reset, that eventually there is a process for that. If you have I want to reinstate the verification process I want the paid verification process, but also another verification process for perhaps people who can bring an audience. There's a value proposition in it for Twitter for people who are going to bring their audiences over. Twitch and YouTube do that all the time. Hassan Piker, as much as he has a go at fucking Elon Musk, he's got signed to Twitch. He got asked to leave YouTube to move to Twitch. And he took a fucking deal because he was going to bring people to Twitch. That's business. Okay. And that's, I think that's a fairly reasonable thing. And like, why not? Okay. But that said, if you're that famous that you're attractive to Twitter, then you're probably getting enough benefit out of it that paying fucking $30 a month is nothing to you anyway. And it's a marketing expense. But I'm just saying there's other solutions than it's not, again, it's just that black and white binary thinking. And that's why I can't stream and react in the moment, because these things take time to research. And this has been an insane year for this product. Okay, so basically, Musk wants to solve a problem that has existed since, for years, which I agree with. I agree with the intentions, the original intentions. Do I think he's a shitlord? Yes. But it's funny. I'm an Entropy fan. So what? But he's also doing things that actually, some of these things are necessary, where there's like a reset, I think, where he needs to alienate just enough people to sort of clean house. But I imagine that he'll invite some people back. I imagine that he'll get, who knows what the fuck? I don't know what the fuck's going on there. But I do think that organizational account is good. But that should be a sliding scale as well. Like, I would want to buy a check mark for, all of, not all of my accounts. I only have 2, which is my official, 3. I've 3 accounts. So I run but I don't run the other 2. They're just usernames. They're just the Rapscally official company account, and another account that's there as a backup in case something happens and I get banned. And I'm probably just going to get rid of that account because I don't need it anymore. But for the most part, it's it would be good to be. I don't want to have to pay 3 times for that. I would pay I'd pay a subscription like Netflix, where you can stream to 4 devices or whatever. So you can have up to 5 accounts under that one Twitter Blue subscription, like a family account. I'd prefer that, like a small business thing, than having, because I'm not paying fucking $100 and something a month for just to have the check marks for, my son, who I technically represent, and, all those things under the company. And if I was to, have my official Rapscally account, well, we're not going to pay $1,000 a month for a company that's basically me anyway. That's silly. So they've obviously got to iron some stuff out there. But it's a start. And but I did want to talk about sort of where we were to date, because I did want to talk a bit about some of the. Obviously Matt Taibbi has said what I said.